Welcome to the Everyday Millionaire Show with Ryan Greenberg and Nick Kalfas. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Everyday Millionaire Show. We are here with Eric Campbell, our YouTube guy. Our YouTube guy?
Consultant? What do you want to be called, Eric?
We
just call you our YouTube guy.
It's fair enough, to be honest, because YouTube is kind of what I do.
Yeah.
I do other things. You guys have seen like the numbers on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, but like YouTube is how I got started. And so I don't mind being called that. But like what my business actually does is I brand it as a marketing agency, because that's essentially what it is at the end of the day. So
Right.
And how old are you?
18.
18?
Yeah.
And how long have you been into it?
So I got into content about 4 years ago. I just started watching, at the time, this was before he's the massive behemoth in the space he is now, but Iman Gadzhi was relatively small back then. And I was like 15 at the time, 14, 15. And I would just he popped up on my feed one day, and I was like, what is this? And I was already kind of into, I don't want to say like the financial space, but like I had a, job. I was working at a bagel shop, and, I had a Roth IRA. So just like stuff like that. And so I was kind of already interested in finances, investing, that type of stuff. And so his kind of type of content came naturally to what I was already in. And he started talking about like an SMMA and like, making money online. I was like, what is this? And I remember like that summer, like I just took a ton of notes on a lot of his stuff. And I was like, I have no idea how I'm going to get into this. And then I just started making content on YouTube. And then from there, like I sucked at it for like a year, but like I got okay at it. And then I got my first video editing client, and then that turned into, I got good at that. And then I was like, okay, like I can actually make money off of this. Then it kind of turned into this isn't just video editing, because when you get good at video editing, now it's like marketing, then you can brand it differently, then you can actually make an offer, and then it kind of just snowballed from there. So
how many clients do you have right now?
Right now I have like 10 different podcasts on my roster pretty much. So I would say like 8 that are very like just consistent, and 2 that are like, hey, like I have work here, there, whatever. Which is funny because those 2 clients I rip like views for more than like anybody else. Like, one of the guys, his name is Mickey. He's down in Texas. His work is very inconsistent, but like every time I work with him, I think we probably like rip 500,000 views on like Facebook, Instagram. Like, it's stupid.
What's his content about?
He's a sports podcast, so his stuff is like really easy to do, because like he'll just chop it up with this guy Hype, who he's good friends with, and they both know like not every sport, but like they watch boxing, football, basketball, like all the whatever. So like no matter what time of year it is, I can always be speaking on like some type of sport that's going on, and it's just very easy content to market because everybody has an opinion on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very easy to just make the clips, put them out, in a certain way. And yeah, I mean, Facebook, you guys have seen it, but even for them, like, I remember 3 pieces of content for them back in April. And I think we did first video, like 1.8 million views. Second was like 900K. And the third was like 500K. So like within a week we did like whatever that is.
We made $92 on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that in the last one. I was like, that's dope.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Sports is one of those things that like is so opinionated, and everybody's got their team, and everybody's like a diehard. So like you get the comments, the interactions.
Yeah, I feel like it's harder for like us in a niche of like real estate investing and like business that not everybody's into, but like most people are into some sort of sports.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Sports. I think sports, food,
politics,
and like health and politics. They're probably like some of the top 4.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is also timing, because it's like anybody can sit here, like if you're not like, politics is a very like time is of the essence thing, because it's like if you say something now that just happened today, it's like, okay, you're on top of it. But like if you're even 2 hours after everybody else, like if you're not literally the first one to post a video, nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
Like unless you already have an established fan base, unless you're somebody like Ben Shapiro or whatever, like nobody really cares. It's too late. Like they've already made the videos because they're on top of everything. The news is already talking about it. The articles are already out. And so like that is, you have to be on top about sports. Not so much, but timing is everything as well, because like the video that ripped like 2 million views was a video on Shedeur Sanders, which was like posted like the 2 days after the draft. So it was like fresh on everybody's brain, because like, he slid so far down in the NFL draft, and then everybody was like, oh, they had opinions about it. It was a big deal. they came in, they timed it at the right time, and they had a pretty controversial take on it. And you do all that and edit it right, put it out right, post it at the right time. Yeah, it's.
So one thing I wanted to talk about. So like, you just hit us up. So this is like for people that are like trying to start something and try to get a grind together. I don't handle the Instagram. We have Carl who handles the Instagram, but we have so many people that hit us up like every day. Like I can blow up your Instagram. I can give you 10,000 views. I can do this. I can do that. And Carl usually doesn't even tell me about them. But for some reason, he told me about you, and now you ended up being our YouTube guy. So what do you think you do differently to hit people up that is more like is getting people's attention than some of these other people that just seem like scammers?
Yeah. So there's a couple routes I could go with this. The way I got a lot of people's attention for a long time was just like, don't pitch people right away. Like nobody wants to be pitched, because like if I go on my LinkedIn right now, especially because like I have it listed that I own a business, I'm in sales, I do sales for a software company. So like people hit me up every day, nonstop. Like, hey, I can grow your agency out. Hey, I can do this. Hey, I can do that. Whatever. I'm like, your offer is the same as everybody else. Like I don't care. And that's the first thing they always kind of lead into. Now I've had a couple people who DM me some very creative things, and I'll actually respond to them because I'm like, that was either funny or like whatever. And so you have to either go one of two routes. Like you have to either have a pattern disruptor in the way that you message people. So you have to make them, I don't want to say feel a certain way, but like make them laugh, make them confused, like anything in that regard. I'll give an example in a second. The other thing you can do is just be genuine, right? Like the more, I don't want to say details you give, but just show that you actually care, because anybody can copy paste the same message to 100 people. Like with you guys, like my team and I, especially, like we went in, we were like, okay, like these guys I actually want to work with, so like I can do mass messages, but every single person that we reach out to, like I've actually looked at their profile. So like I take the time out of my day, either me or like my right hand guy who helps me with my DMs and stuff. Like we look at their profile and we're like, yeah, like they're actually qualified to work with us, because there's a lot of people that aren't.
How do you do, like, what's that process look like? Like how do you search for podcasts? And like you have people in sports, you have people in real estate. Like what's your process?
So starting out, I was just doing all the work myself, and I was like, I was doing that for a while, and I got my first, like how I really got into it was, I was just telling a story to a guy earlier today. He was kind of asking me how I got into like podcasting specifically, because he was like, was that intentional? I was like, no, it's by complete mistake. After about a year doing YouTube content, I saw a guy who was like 15, so he was younger than me at the time, and he made like $2,000 in a month, like doing like long form editing, shorts, whatever for podcasts. And I was like, this kid is younger than me, he's making more money than me, like the heck, what am I doing? I was like, all right, well let me just try to copy what he did. So I reached out to 3 podcasts, and I ended up signing one of them as my first client, which is like unheard of. Like reaching out to 3 people and signing a client is, as a 15, 16-year-old kid, is unheard of. And so that kind of just was like how I got into it, and then that was just by accident, and then over time was like, okay, like it's actually a thing, and so I then from there I was kind of finding podcasts myself that I could potentially want to work with, but it just got so tedious, and now I just have like a lead gen team pretty much, where like they have a criteria of people that they, what are you doing, Chase? They have a just essentially criteria that they go through, and then we just go through and make sure like they fit the criteria, that they are, what is this guy doing? My camera died. That they essentially, we want to work with them, because I don't just want to work with anybody. And there's loads of podcasts out there like on LinkedIn too that hit me up, and they're just not, I could care less to work with them.
So when you're like looking for like a certain podcast, are you looking on YouTube, you're looking on Spotify? Like
yeah, so my 2 things at this point are just YouTube and Instagram, because YouTube is like what I look for, and then Instagram is the way to reach out to them. Email too is kind of a way to get in contact with them, but I've just been doing Instagram for so long, and it's like I built up a decent profile on Instagram. People, I don't say they know who I am, but there's not a lot of guys in my space, so it's pretty easy to kind of, I don't say reach out to people on there, but it's easier than email and stuff like that. And I'm kind of delving into that game, but it can get a little more, yeah. So I just look at YouTube, Instagram. They have to have a certain criteria of like followers, be in XYZ category, not necessarily business, but like, I'm not going to work with like OnlyFans girls, if that makes sense. Like I just don't care to promote any of that. So yeah.
So did you searched, I'm sorry if you already said this. I was kind of paying attention to what Chase was doing.
No, you're good.
Did you search Instagram to find us, or did we like pop up on your feed?
So honestly, my I've had a lead gen team for like a year now, so they just found you guys, and then I was like, okay, these guys are dope. Let me go through some of their content. I'm like, okay, like these guys have some real potential. Like they've had a couple episodes do pretty well. They're not really pulling too many views, so let me reach out to them. And then spoke to Carl, got you on the phone, and just kind of ran with it from there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the booking people get us. Like that's how we get these stupid Zoom podcasts all the time. You know, it's like the booking people. So there must be some way to aggregate all that. So yeah, that's cool. I had no idea that you were 18 either.
It's pretty impressive.
That's pretty impressive. Yeah,
I appreciate that.
I mean, at 18, I'd love to be working with OnlyFans girls online.
Yeah. But he's turning it down.
He's turning it down.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Small potatoes.
Small potatoes.
No,
So you were 15, started making content, and then when did you shift into doing it for other people?
So probably about 16. It's a funny story. So when I was 16, I started, like, that was when I first got my first client. It was that summer. I remember it was like a week before I went away with my family, and then like I went away. I was like, I was with my cousins, whatever. I was like, I have work to do. And they're like, what do you mean you have work to do? I was like, I have a client. I was like, I had to explain to them like what was going on, and they're like, okay, you do you, whatever. And so I did that for like 6 months, and in that time span, I had like maybe 2 or 3 clients, and I don't want to say like the content was crap, but it was crap initially, at least. And within 6 months, like I just ran so much stuff for them. Like I don't want to say I was doing slave labor, but it was like slave labor. And I just did so much content for them, and I split tested so many things that then it just got to the point where it was like, okay, like I now know what works. So like 6 months in, I think this guy who had like maybe 100 YouTube subscribers, I got him like 1 point something million views or whatever. And from there, I was like, okay, like I know what I'm doing. Let me raise my prices, lost all my clients. And I was like, okay, this is just temporary. I think it was like 5 months went by for me to get another client, because like I knew content. I knew how to like make content, edit, get results for people, put content out, whatever. I just didn't know how to sell. I didn't have an offer. It was just like all these other people that message you say, hey, like, can I edit your videos? And when you do that, like anybody can do that.
Yeah, I'm going to pull up some of the people say.
Yeah. I mean, I get them too now. That's the thing, is like I even have like I have a Twitter profile, and that's where I run my hiring posts for my team now. And when I tell you the amount of DMs I get on Twitter, like every day, like my last post I made, I think last Thursday, has like 10,000 views, and I think I have like 100 applicants for the post. And it's just like I have people nonstop now that like want to work for me.
So if you're just starting out, is it harder to get clients, or is it harder to get views for clients?
Honestly, I don't want to say views is easy, because it's not. Like podcasting is a thing that is, I don't want to say it's niche or it's hard or anything like that, but at the same time, like it's not as easy as some other things out there. And I think depending on the client and who you are and what views can be, it's not necessarily hard, right? Like Chase got views on TikTok doing what he was doing, dancing around.
I agree.
Having fun, doing whatever. It's like, so views aren't necessarily hard. Like you can get views in a million different ways. Getting clients, you can do in not a million ways. You can do it in a couple ways, but like you got to get creative with it. And like to answer Ryan's question too from before with like how you essentially like what do you message people? So you can like be detailed in like what you actually say and say like, hey, like I was actually really checking this out. I really like what you guys got going on, whatever. You can say that, sure.
Yeah, this is what you said. Hey, Ryan and Nick, what's happening? Just saw your recent video with Lark Davis, and it was amazing. And then Carl said, he said, how's everything going? And Carl said, hey, what can we do for you? And then basically just started a conversation. Yeah. And, yeah, you got him. So it looks like you sent some, some other people's podcasts that you...
I don't remember. I have so many conversations.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Sent some channels.
Yeah.
And then Carl contacted me and said that you might be legit. So we got on a call. So that's a cool hustle.
Yeah, but I mean, like even now, like so, somebody who I'm somewhat a mentor, very good friend of mine. You probably have all seen him on my stories. Guy William. So he actually messaged me, and all he said, and he doesn't do it anymore, but like people were starting to make videos about it because it was the funniest thing. He would just DM the like word coffee with a question mark to people, and people would like reply like crazy. Like he would probably send out like 5 a day and get like 20 book calls a week. and just from people that are in like similar circles, like have mutuals and whatever. And I'm like, how does this even work? Like, and he's just like, well, it's just a coffee chat, and that's what he kind of brands it as. And so like when I saw it, I was like, huh? And he was like,
Does he actually meet with the people?
oh, not like me in person, but like he has like a virtual, Zoom call, whatever. And some people he meets with, he knows a lot of people, but he'll just do that. And I mean, he did it to me, and I already knew him because we were in a couple of the same circles. Like he just popped up out of nowhere. I was like, who's this guy? And then he DMs me, and I replied like, huh? And he was like, coffee chat this week, ? And I was like, yeah, but here in America we use full sentences because he lives in South Africa. And from there, like him and I just started chatting. But like even simple stuff like that, like is crazy. So
That's interesting. But that's like you were talking about earlier. That's a pattern disruptor,
Yeah.
right? Like so you're just throwing somebody off, sparking their curiosity.
And asking a question by having a question mark, so they feel inclined to answer.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, we talk about it in on our sales team all the time about like pattern disruptors and like, when you call clients and stuff, how you can throw them off and not ask the same questions that they've already heard 100 other realtors say. So, I mean, it's super interesting. As far as like talking about like TikTok and views and stuff, I 100% agree. I always talked about how TikTok was like where the talentless people go to get famous.
Yeah, pretty much.
And I was one of them. Like, I mean, not that I don't have a talent, guys. Come on, I have you seen my dance moves?
Yeah, I saw that one video of you
Yeah.
singing.
So I mean, I do have a talent. Got my wife off of TikTok, but nonetheless, I mean, TikTok's one of those platforms where you just, if you're consistent, you find your little niche, and then you just stay on it. You can get views on the regular. And I watch real estate agents. I watch everybody blow up on TikTok.
Yeah.
So should we be doing TikTok too?
I think we should
Yeah.
be, but
I've had a lot of people ask me about it, and I just don't care for it all that much, only because like the opportunity to make money off of it is smaller than any other platform. So like YouTube is probably the easiest platform to actually make money off of, like ad revenue, and then also just like if you're trying to convert people in any way, shape, or form, like YouTube is the way to go. Like I think you actually said this in a podcast, like it takes like 7 hours of like somebody watching like your content for them to then like buy something from you. I don't know if you said it, somebody said it.
it wasn't me.
And
But it's true.
yeah, and so like YouTube, like if you're watching shorts, like how many shorts is that? Like 700 shorts, like plus at least, like loads and loads of shorts. So it's like in that scenario, shorts is very hard to convert in one way for like actually higher ticket things. If you're just selling some TikTok shop product, that's one thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say I would almost disagree with you about making money. I think TikTok is definitely more like drug dealing, where it's like that quick, fast money. In all seriousness, like you can hit a TikTok shop, your video go viral, and you make a couple 100,000 just off of selling an item on TikTok. And then you have the creator fund, which is easy to get in. They used to pay a lot more, like one of the highest paid platforms, but now they're not. Also, you have the risk of TikTok getting banned eventually. So there's
that was a thing for a while.
Right. And it could still happen. But at the end of the day, like YouTube, if you want longevity and you want to sustain like a social media career, like that's where you need to be.
Yeah.
And so like that's something that like I'm focusing more on, because like this year social media was like my plan, like to prospect. I'm not doing cold calling anymore. We're not doing direct mail, none of that. So we decided like, hey, we're going all in on Instagram. Well, I learned very fast that Instagrams are really hard to grow on.
Yeah.
Just because of the discoverability. So you can post out a reel, but you might not get a lot of traction unless you post for like a year straight.
Yeah.
Versus TikTok, you can post for like 60 to 90 days and you'll get a lot of traction right off the bat. But it's one of those things where, do you want to take the risk on going all in on a platform that might not be around in a couple years, or do you want to dive all in on YouTube and be discovered because people
Or Facebook too.
Or Facebook too, but for like realtors, right? So this is something I just had a conversation with my videographer, is that like YouTube, who owns YouTube?
Google.
So if we're doing local or hyper local content on YouTube, that makes us more discoverable on Google. So when people type in houses in Severna Park and we have 30 YouTube videos on Severna Park houses, my face pops up. Now Instagram just did an update as well, where you can find Instagram content now on Google as well. So if we're doing hyper local content on Instagram now we're popping up on Google again.
Yeah.
So like we're really focused on like becoming famous in our communities versus becoming famous nationally.
In the world,
And then YouTube is going to be more like vlog content, like behind the scenes.
yeah.
Does it also matter like who your target audience is too? Because I feel like for us, like the barrier to entry to be like an actual real estate investor is typically going to be like trending on the older side, where most of those people are found on, I feel like, on Facebook, which is why I think our Facebook has done much better than all the other platforms. And like if we think about like the events and like all the stuff that we do, all that shit gets put on Facebook, and that's where the people find us.
Well, I think it does for sure. And like this is something that I would love to, you know, pitch back and forth here, but I've talked to my videographer about is like I've always believed the more niche you are, the bigger you can create a community, and the bigger audience you can create. But it's just gonna take longer because those people gotta find you. And so like that's why I do believe in TikTok as like almost like a boost, because their discoverability is so far. So like if we had a Everyday Millionaire TikTok and these people see you on TikTok, okay, now your video pops off, but now they're like searching you on YouTube because they want to watch the full video, or you know, they want to watch more of your content. But
for you, like you had 150K on TikTok, but how many on Instagram? Like how many people click through? I grew to 4,000 just in a couple months. But that was because I had my Instagram linked in my TikTok, so people were just clicking on that, and then. But I feel like 4,000 to have 150,000 on one platform and 4,000 on another is not a lot.
Yeah, but if you think like, so that's Instagram though, but 4,000 on YouTube, if they're your, like, for example, so if you have somebody, I don't know, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, like Iman is a great example because his funnels are ridiculous. Like he does info products, was in info for a while, and like he would do. I would say probably between, I think he said he was doing like 300 to 400 million views on short form between all platforms a month. And so like he was doing that consistently. I think some months he was even doing like probably 500 million views. And so that's just on short form. And then what would happen is a certain percent would then go to YouTube. And YouTube is where he would sell them on his info products. And he would rake in. I mean, I think they said he did like $80 million in info on YouTube, like, and that's like it's a very lean model, and like, you know, with that's different because it's like they're going to YouTube. Instagram is hard to it's easy to monetize from a networking perspective. Like you can make a lot of money. Like I was mentioning William, like he makes loads of money, and he's got 90 followers on Instagram. So it's like you can make a lot of money on Instagram. You just have to know the right people and be in the right circles. YouTube, it's different, because you can funnel people through things very much in a like Instagram is not funnel friendly. It's not, because they don't like people going off their platform. Like if you try to click a YouTube link just direct to YouTube, like, you know, like Carl even posts, like it doesn't go to the app. It goes to like a website and you can't even subscribe directly. So like Instagram is like they don't want people going off their platform is honestly like the thing. Right. YouTube, they don't care, because at the end of the day it's owned by Google and they'll make money regardless. So they don't really care. YouTube is great for funneling, and then Instagram is great, again, like I said, to kind of reach out to people, network with people, make money that way. Because that's
what I've decided to turn my Instagram into, is more just like a business card. You know, at the end of the day, it's going to be like my resume. We're not going to post as much content there. But that's the other thing, like going back to your question. Yeah, I grew 150 on there because I was posting on there consistently, and that discoverability was a lot higher. Now Instagram has tried with the reels and stuff to make their discoverability better, but it's still not the same.
Yeah, like with the trial reels, you mean?
Yeah. With the trial reels and reels in general, like they turned up the discoverability of them.
Because I was gonna say too, like honestly, and this is something I've seen a lot of people do, is like they'll switch up their content. So like you're 150K, and then the 4K that came over, like they were following you for that content, right? And then you switch up on your content, go completely into real estate, and those 4K followers are like, yeah, who's this guy now? Like I don't remember this guy. Who cares? Like, you know. And I've seen that happen. Like even with my stuff, like I've got like 600 followers, whatever, and only like the last maybe like 300. The first 300 were probably just people I knew like personally. The last 300 are people that are actually like in the business space, their podcasts, whatever. They're more applicable to what I'm actually doing. But because the first half like see my content and they don't even care about it, and they don't like it, they don't engage with it, like kind of shoot myself in the foot. Same thing with your stuff.
Yeah, it's the same thing with me that happens on TikTok. Is like TikTok typically pushes out your video to your followers first, a group of like 10 to 15, and if they engage with it and do good, then it pushes out to 100, and then broader audiences outside of your following. So like that's what's really hurt me. But you can still catch trends and catch new audiences, and it'll push it out. You just have to be consistent. And that's at the end of the day, that's what social media is.
They have trial reels now too, which kind of do the complete opposite of that, and they shift to only new people who have never seen your content before. So like I had a client last month, like he'd never broken like 100K views on a reel before, and he posted a trial reel, and like a week later he's like, dude, it's at like 100K. I'm like, okay.
So what's a trial reel? Like if I looked it up on Instagram, what is that? How does that look different than?
So like you don't post, essentially when you post it, it doesn't show up on your page. It only shows to new people. So like it essentially is a trial in the fact that it gets sent to people who've never seen your stuff before, and then if they like it and they react well, it's just going to continue to get pushed to new people. So it's really great for people like, you know, Chase or myself, even where like our audience doesn't engage with our content. So for us, like we have to be super consistent. My client, my podcast who did like 100K views, like, you know, they weren't very consistent prior to working with me. So they've got a couple hundred followers, and, you know, I think they've got like 400, and maybe they'll get like 30 likes if they post it regularly. Meanwhile, they'll post a trial reel, and I think that video is now like 130K views.
Interesting. Are we doing trial reels?
I have no idea. Ask Carl. I don't know. Carl? I mean, I think
we should be at least trying them. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. It's like you can post them as both too. Like this client, he posted the video the first time and it got like 4 or 5K views, which isn't bad considering I think he was averaging like half that. So it was like, okay, that's not bad, but like 5K views compared to like 130 is nothing. So
and then like once the trial reel, like once it goes, then you can post it to your page.
Yep.
So what's interesting to me is like Facebook and Instagram are owned by the same company.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So our Facebook is doing more than 3x what the Instagram's doing, but it's the same.
I just don't think Instagram is necessarily built for like podcasts. Like if you think about all the people that are doing podcasts, like Instagram, like they're not on Instagram heavy. They're on YouTube Shorts.
They post on Instagram, but they're not trying to build Instagram. If that makes sense. Because the only way to really monetize on Instagram for a podcast is sponsors, but you're not doing ad reads on Instagram. You know, like you're not. That's YouTube. So.
Like I said, it's more of like for me now. It's more like a resume piece, and then like I'm going more heavy into YouTube and TikTok.
Do you think that changing the content is a good like changing like the setting or changing like we've changed this fucking studio up 10 times. We keep adding plants. We got a fake plant.
Got to keep adding more plants.
I don't think the setting matters necessarily, but the content matters. Like if people follow you for a certain I mean, think about it. If you follow Joe Rogan to watch his podcast and then he's not doing podcasts, he's riding horses. Like,
well, I think he's talking about getting new followers, right? Like people who don't even know who we are yet.
Well, Joe Rogan is a unique example too, because like he goes so wide on things. Like, and what I mean by wide is like he can talk about anything. Like he'll talk about aliens, and then he'll talk about UFC, and then he'll talk about politics, and then he'll talk about riding horses, and he'll talk about Elon and how he went and shot his crossbow with Elon at a Tesla.
Wasn't a great example, but
I know, but
the
like,
biggest podcaster in the world,
the biggest podcast in the world. But like, I don't think it matters. Like setting and all that stuff doesn't matter. Like I've had people like literally, like for example, my client that I just mentioned before, I literally went on their podcast last week, and they shoot it in their living room. And they've got like a decent set. Like they have a camera guy who comes, and like he's got, you know, Sony cameras and whatnot, and it's a very nice setup, but he just does it in his living room.
We graduated from my basement. We were in my basement for a while.
That's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't really matter where. What just matters that you have a decent quality video, audio, and content is incredible.
We were actually upstairs first in the office.
Oh, you're right. We were upstairs first in the office. And then we graduated to the basement, and now we bought an office.
Yeah.
So quality, I want to talk about that because I think that is another thing that we noticed, like the higher quality videos definitely do better than like the Zoom podcasts that now we've started yesterday. We started recording our Zoom podcast.
Yeah, how'd that come out?
We don't know yet.
Carl's going to have to tell us.
Yeah, I just uploaded them today, so we'll figure that out. But essentially, like the guest still looks like high def, I guess. They were on just like a webcam or whatever. But we all have the cameras on us, so we'll see how that comes out. But how much does the quality matter? Or is it like content, like just getting more content out there? Like, what's your opinion on that?
So quality is huge because everybody, like, I say it's like if you're not shooting 1080p at this point, like nobody's going to watch you unless you're, again, there is exceptions. And I say this, like, you know, I was talking about Dave Meltzer and having him on, like, regardless of whether or not he's 1080p or 720, like, it's not going to matter huge. As long as we can get some decent clips from it, like, it'll probably do decent numbers, but that's because it's Dave Meltzer. You know, it's like if the guest isn't big and he's not established and people don't know him, it's not going to get views, you know, because, like, that's really just, I mean, Carl's posted some of the stuff from the Zoom stuff, and I'll tell, like, I think maybe like a month or two in of like working together with you guys, like, he's like, yeah, I'm going to post it. I'm like, all right, come back to me when it gets no views. And then sure enough, it got like 13 views, and he was like, yeah, we shouldn't do that anymore. I'm like, no. So
yeah,
quality's huge. 1080p?
Yeah, oh yeah,
you got
4K. Yeah, shooting 4K.
Well, not for like he's talking about the Zooms where it's the other end, you can't get the.
And I've been running like more stuff recently. So like William is a client of mine too, and I'm running kind of a unique model with him because he was like, I want to see how far we can take this if we only do like mostly remote stuff, like via Riverside and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. And so like he has his like Canon, whatever, his old gigantic camera setup that he's got. But he's in South Africa, and then a guy by the name of True Bryant, who is in Boston, who, by the way, is the connection of who I was sending information to you on lobster rolls. He was telling me that essentially, you know, William was saying, you know, try to get True in like a podcast studio. So I had True, you know, go to a podcast studio, booked him an Uber, sent him, you know, there, whatever. And quality came out okay. Like William's side was fine. The podcast studio actually was more of a headache to deal with, just from a video perspective. But it actually came out okay. Not as good as like this, but still okay. And we got a couple clips from it, nothing crazy, but I think we've done probably close to 10,000 views already just off that episode. So it's like, it can work. You just have to be, you know.
The problem is you can't control the other side. Like, obviously you controlled it, but like we can't control if the other guy is using his MacBook camera. Like that's gonna be 720p.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's why I've told Carl to be very specific on who we pick for the Zoom podcast, because we were taking like all the people that they hit us up like every day. They're sending us emails to come on the podcast. There's like booking agents or whatever that are booking for people, and I'm like, I don't want any more. I think I'm done with financial planners.
You know what you can do though?
I think I'm done with them.
This was somebody yesterday who I was on the phone with, and I was chatting with him for like 45 minutes, and you know, it's a prospect, and I was chatting with him, and he's like, yeah, because a lot of my offer now is also like bringing on guests for, you know, podcasts, because I say probably like 2 or 3 like clients where like their bottleneck is getting guests on, like they can't get guests on, like good guests. And so like a client like 2 weeks ago, he's like, yeah, we really need to get a guest on. So like 2 days later, I was like, all right, here's this guy, 3 million followers in Jersey.
Yeah, that is what those, like, I forget, expert bookers. There's a couple companies that reach out to us, and I've looked them up to like see what they charge but like if Chase wanted to go on a bunch of podcasts, he could pay them like $300 a month, and like they would put you, like, they would do what they do to get all these random people on.
Honestly, like you guys, and so I was telling this guy yesterday, because he was telling me, he's like, I have, you know, more than enough guests. Like people always are like messaging me and come on. I'm like, all right. I'm like, well, choose who you want, and then if you have a capability to bring on other people, charge them. Say, hey, look, I'm down to bring you on, but it's going to cost you $200, $300. You know, because I got a line full of people this long that want to come on, and you know, essentially you're coming on to self-promote yourself. You know, like these financial planners that want to come on here, like they're coming on here to promote themselves, basically, and their business.
They're so boring, those ones. I feel like we've done, right? How many of those people have we've done?
Quite a few of them.
A ton of financial planners, and they're all this. I hate to say talk shit about people. They're all kind of the same. They all say the same shit, and they're all like these old random guys. But it's kind of just that whole like boring guest thing. I'm kind of done with that.
Yeah, I think it would be cool to like, and that's something we haven't even tried, or I haven't even thought about trying recently, was like just going and getting, like, reaching out to other big guests or big podcasts and trying to get on.
I mean, we have done that. Like,
didn't work out, or what?
Well, I mean, like, we went, you know, we went to BPCon every year to get guests. That's why we spent thousands of dollars traveling to San Diego, to Hawaii to get Brandon Turner on. Yeah. And while we were there, we got other podcasts that we filmed. I mean, we did do that.
Maybe BBCon needs to come back.
Yeah,
we went to Cabo instead last year.
I mean, at the same time,
It's
though.
coming up this year too.
It's true.
I'm already going, so you guys might as well book your tickets.
Is it in Vegas?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course you're going.
At the same time, like, I mean, you guys have seen some of, like, even the solo episodes you guys have done with, just the three of you, or just like the one you and Chase shot the other day. Like, those are gonna rip views too, because it's just like you guys can actually have a conversation.
That's why I'd like, like from the beginning I partnered with Nick, and then when Chase like joined the team and started doing all that shit, and he was already like he was already into content and already thinking about doing his own podcast. I was like, it'd be easier to have three people just having a conversation rather than trying to find these fucking guests that are going to be on Zoom and have bad quality. And like, we were already doing all that triathlon stuff. I felt like that was a good
Yeah, that question, sorry to cut you off, but to pick your brain, like, how do you feel about like us talking about like triathlon stuff and then like posting that to Everyday Millionaire, where it was more of like Everyday Millionaire's niche is like business?
So I've gotten a few messages about that. Like, people aren't big fans of it.
Yeah,
they can go watch another show then, because I think it's good, and I only say it's good because I think you get exposure to more. Like, you go wide again, like I was saying, and it's like we already have, like, what do we have, 25,000 followers now, and it's like some of them are from the real estate business side of things, like whatever. But on the other hand, like we do have other people coming in from like the other things you guys are talking about, or just the crazy.
Didn't we also post something on Instagram, like asking that specific question?
Yeah, I think Carl posted that, or Facebook. Yeah. Carl posted
and it was
a
like,
thing on Facebook, and everybody was like, real estate
business, and nothing of like health and fitness.
I just think I only say keep it in because it's you guys. Like, if it's the three of you sitting down chopping it up, like, it's your life. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It just seems like it's like the behind the scenes, but
yeah, I think. I mean, I've been posting on my personal pages a lot about it too. So listen, I feel like people that like.
I was just gonna say, keep posting about your boat. That's what you got to do.
It's traumatizing. That's the most views we've got are just when people comment.
Me and this guy are sitting beside each other, and he's about in tears, dude, looking at his phone. He's like, they just keep commenting, and it's all these comments, and they're so mean.
Like,
mean things.
And you said this in the podcast the other day. Like, for some reason, like, I mean, Chase, you've had a couple that did like some decent views and stuff, but like for some reason the ones that do like 500,000 views plus are always you, Ryan, and they'll like just come after you, like slumlord, rich cock, like this guy bought his boat off Temu, like just the most, like, I mean the one of you being a slumlord, like I literally think I saw the comment slumlord like 25 times within like a day.
Yeah, I think I've been called slumlord 25,000 times on those comments.
Yeah,
I've turned off all notifications on all.
Dude, I had to as well. Like, when people try to message me on Instagram, TikTok, anything, like my notifications are still off, and they've been off for a while.
Yeah, once that one video popped off, I was like, on
Facebook.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta stop reading these things. These people are so mean. They don't even know me.
No, it was funny though. I mean, I remember that day too. Like, it was a Sunday, and I remember because I had just gotten back from church with my girlfriend, and I remember like I got out of the car and walked inside her house, pulled out my phone, looking at it. I saw you in the chat saying like, "It's got like X amount of views. It got like 300K views." I'm like, the heck? And I just started reading the comments. I was like, this is why it has 300K views. So
I'll take it though.
Yeah,
I'll let them beat me up online.
Yeah, it's been growing the pages. So
we got to get something controversial. I think that's Nick, you're next to say something controversial so we can.
Yeah, tell some type of story, Nick.
Yeah.
I gotta run here. So, are you guys gonna keep chatting?
Yeah, we'll chat it up for a bit.
Okay.
Why you gotta go?
I gotta go to your project.
Oh.
Are you meeting the buyer there?
Yeah, I'm meeting.
Are you meeting someone there? Gotcha.
Yeah, I gotta meet the buyer and then go over like materials and everything and. Try to figure out how we can wrap this up because we're supposed to settle on the 8th, and that's not gonna happen. So, and the guy's lease is up on the 9th.
Sick.
So we need like 30 days.
And we're back.
Yeah. Back at it again.
So the process for you finding these podcasts and all that stuff, the help that you have, are you finding like virtual assistants? Like, how are you building out your team?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question, because at this point, like, I was just telling my dad the other day, I was like, Dad, I think I've got like 2 months left in me before I got to hire an actual VA. And the first person I'm going to go to is Carl. I need somebody who do you know that could be a VA for me, please? Because right now, like, I'm probably like, I know there's a certain amount of money per month. Like, I'll reach and I'll be like, yeah, this is like it. And I'm pretty darn close to it, to where like, yeah, it's a no-brainer to bring on a VA. And not even like somebody like Carl, who's like, you know, all the time, like working with you, like even if it's only 10 hours a week, you know, like just to delegate some things that are like just building up, because I have 11 guys on my team now. I think I just brought on somebody new earlier today. So it's like,
and what are they doing? Editing?
No. So like so I have a couple different like departments, teams in my actual team. So I have a lead gen team. There's three or four guys on there now. And they legitimately just go through like every podcast out there. And like I go through a lot of them still. And then also my appointment setter who runs my DMs, he helps me with a lot of my DMs, and also just following up with people, because half of business is just following up with people for like a relentlessly long time. Even Dave Meltzer, like I've been trying to get him to like just respond for, you know, weeks. So, and then I finally got him on the phone. So like stuff like that, it's just following up with people for a very long time. So he helps me with that. So was that 4 or 5 people there. Then I've got 4 or 5 editors on my team. They all handle X amount of clients. Some of them handle only like one, if they're like a client where we're doing like, you know, 20 to 30 pieces of content a month. Others where it's only like 10, 15, they can handle multiple. I don't ever want to like overwork any of them, but then at the same time, like I also have to somewhat hire in advance, because it's like I have a guy next month who might come on, and he was going to be a client who we're running a piece of content every single day. And this isn't like, I would say probably, it's not harder. It's just more time consuming than like your guys' stuff, because it's more of a personal branding offer than like a podcast offer. And so it's a little bit more complicated editing. And like I literally told him, I'm like, you need to tell me by the end of this week if you're coming on as a client, because I need to hire guys. And then like I don't accept like losers on my team, essentially people that are gonna be late, you know, be a headache, and just, you know, not communicate with me, because that's the number one thing. I would say that's probably the same thing for like you, especially Ryan, because I know you have so many contractors and stuff. It's like, I don't care like if you need to go to XYZ, or like, you know, your mom is in the hospital or whatever, just talk to me.
Yeah.
You know, like, because when you just disappear and I don't hear from you for 4 days and there's stuff that needs to be done, like, what am I supposed to do? You know, so
people managing is the hardest, probably part of business.
Yeah. So none of your people are VAs. They're all.
No, they're all over the world. None of them are. I was just having this conversation with the guy who does my taxes the other day, because he's actually in my family, but he was telling me, he's like, so are any of the guys that work for you in the States? And I was like, I had to think about it for a second. I was like, I don't think so. But they're like all over the world. So I have like my guy who runs my DMs is in Germany. I have a guy who is in Australia. I have another guy who's in, I think, Vietnam. I have another guy who's in.
So they're kind of virtual assistants.
They sort of are, but they're just more like somewhat. Yeah. I just like, a lot of them aren't to the point where like I could just bulk delegate work to them. Like with Carl, for example, like you just literally say, Carl, like, you know, whatever needs to be done. And even, I mean, you say like he just steps in and helps with other things too. So it's like, it's very hard to find, like you said, like even with Chase's experience or whatever, it's very hard to find somebody like that. And that's why I literally am, if it's not Carl, I'll just go to somebody else I know and just be like, I need somebody to step in and who's going to be like Carl and have that attitude.
We've hired and fired a lot of VAs.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Not all of them are good. Like Carl is like the best one that we've had for sure. Yeah. Not just saying that because he's editing this podcast, but we've hired guys that have had internet issues every single day. They're like, we've had power outages for the last week. I'm sorry, I haven't been at work or whatever. And Jocelyn in our property management company has hired and fired a bunch. I haven't really hired and fired that many myself, but she's like had the runaround with just excuses and issues. When you find a good like company, we have Cyberbacker. That's how we got Carl. They do a lot of the vetting and the training for whatever you're looking for. So like, if you need a bookkeeper, they find you a bookkeeper.
Okay.
If you need somebody that's good at video editing, and they basically would I signed up with them, and then they put like 5 people in my, in front of me basically to interview. I picked down of those 5 people who, I wanted to re-interview, have a second interview with. So there's a lot of companies that do that, and that's probably the route to go. And it's like, a starter, like new guys, probably like in the $7 to $8 an hour range.
Yeah,
which is totally reasonable. And yeah, if you find a killer, it's a game changer, because you can't pay somebody here in the States
$7-8
$7-8 because the money just doesn't go as far. But I was just in the Philippines, and everything's a lot cheaper.
Yeah,
so it's a whole different ballgame. But yeah, virtual assistants, huge game changer. So what's next? Like, what's on your goal sheet?
Yeah, so by the end of this year, like, numbers is one thing and whatever, but that is something, like, I've been told a lot, but also I realize in myself. So, like, I don't care, like, about necessarily, even with, like, my clients, like, the amount of work that gets put out, like, I only care about it because it gets results. And, like, I'm a results-oriented person, right? I think most entrepreneurs are. So, like, they input, and then they see the output. And then that output is what keeps them going. And so for me, like, there's a certain dollar amount, per month I'd like to reach, whatever. This month I'm like, I remember at the beginning of this year, I had a goal for like, hey, I want to be making this much a month. And then I like passed that already. So it's like, just keep moving the goalpost forward. And then there was a number that, like, I remember when I started, I was like, there's no way I'm ever going to, like, or I could. And I actually remember telling my mother, I was like, what if I, like, before I even, like, move out of the house, like, I'm making this much money? She's like, at that point, you better be contributing some of the bills, man. And I'm like, probably, I'm not that far from, like, but it's a very large number. And I'm probably, like, I'm not that far from it. I'm like $5,000 from it, but, like, that's not that much in the grand scheme of things.
I think Nick still lived at his parents' house when he had some rental properties.
Yeah, I had 6 rental properties before I moved out of my parents'.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with that. My uncle too, like, he went to college at ASU in Arizona, came back, lived with his mom for like 4 years, and he wasn't making like loads of money, but he was making, I think it was, I don't remember, but over $50K a year, and this was 20 something years ago. So it's like, at that point you're banking whatever it is a year, and then you can put that into investments, even if it's just a Roth IRA or like any type of trading portfolio or whatever, an ETF even, like, just let it sit there for long enough and you'll have X amount of millions. So yeah, it's definitely a strategy, but I'm probably gonna be with the amount I'm doing, I'll probably be out of the house in the next year max. It doesn't make sense for me right now because I literally just graduated high school a month ago. So yeah,
that's crazy. That's a cool hustle though. So are you planning just this is it, this is where you're gonna lean into and grind it away?
Yeah, so right now, like, I have a very good cash flow with the agency. I do sales for a software company, and this better not get clipped up because they don't know this yet, but the software company I'll probably be leaving within like 8 weeks because I was closing like well over 5 figures like a month for them, and I was like, all right, I want to be paid like X amount, and they were like, yeah, no. Well, actually, I think I hit 5 figures, and I was like, yeah, I want to be making this much, and they're like, yeah, no, and I was like, all right. I just kind of took that and I was like, yeah, I'm out of here. And so then that was like around the time I met William. He was like, yeah, he's like, honestly, if you want to stay in sales, because the agency is very, like, I've had very good months recently, but it's still like, it could crumble tomorrow, and like, I don't necessarily want to solely rely on it just yet. Like, I'm making enough money with it where it's like, I'm almost there, but I'm almost licensed to sell life insurance too, which is always a great thing to kind of have if I ever need the money or, clients go out the window all of a sudden. Because that's mostly commission only, but like life insurance is like you sell $1,000 policy and you take home like 800, 900. So
yeah, that's a whole thing. I don't even want to talk about how much I pay in life insurance. But yeah, there's definitely what I think one suggestion that I would make is like, you gotta stick with some, like, one thing.
Yeah.
Like once I quit my job and went full time in business, we doubled that next year.
Yeah.
And it was
because it forces
because we focused all of our energy on the one thing.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of that, so I have a landscaping business, and I was working in the field up until my daughter was born, and I needed to replace myself. This was 2020. So the year 2020, I worked a whole in the truck in the field doing landscaping, and I bought 8 houses. The next year, I was out of the truck the whole year, and I bought 22 houses that next year. So basically tripled what I did the next year. Yeah. And I'm like, how did I do that? And I'm like, well, it's because I had that more time to focus on buying more properties, finding more properties, managing more properties.
Yeah. And that's what leaving the software companies too, because I'm probably like, this is no joke, but I probably work like 70, 80 hour weeks right now. So it's like, just because I probably run like 30 to 40 at the software company. And that's great because like, it's not like I literally told, she's not really my boss because I'm a 1099, but somewhat my boss. And I was like, hey, like I'll be traveling next week. And then after that, 2 weeks from then, I'm also going to be away for a week. And she's like, okay. And she doesn't even care. It's very, very flexible. So she doesn't really care what hours I work, whatever. And so it's very, very flexible. And which is why I stayed as long as I have, because it's very nice, consistent income that I never really have to worry about. But now it's at the point where it's like I'm putting in like they want me to be putting in this many hours, and I just asked to be paid more, and they're like, no. So at this point, it's like I'll get back so many hours in my week, and even if I still, say I sell life insurance for 15 hours, like the guy who initially got me in, he's like, you could probably make like twice what you're doing right now selling life insurance. He's like, because even if you close one person a day, he's like, say you work like 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, and you close one person, he's like, that's $800 right there at least. Depending on their policy, but like a lot of the time that's what it is. And so why not even, have that at least be licensed for it. And then if you need the income, how to sell, how to go in there and rip. So like, have it.
I would say with life insurance, like I do all my personal insurance, like through the guy that I know. But there's so many of my friends that got into like selling life insurance, and I feel like the life expectancy of that person, not the life, but like the career expectancy is very short.
Yeah.
They get into it because somebody that they know is making a lot of money, but
I think it's quick money.
It's right. But like I personally, I trust the guy that I work with, and it's like a multi-million-dollar policy. I want to make sure that person really knows what the heck they're doing. Yeah. And it's a reputable company. It's not like some of these like what seem like multi-level marketing schemes sometimes.
Yeah, MLMs and stuff. That was one of the things I looked at because William was telling me, I'm like, this is going to be another MLM, whatever. And literally the first thing the guy said on his phone, he's like, I want you to know this is not an MLM. He's like, this is the furthest thing from it because like you don't get money if you bring on like other people unless like you're one of like the top managers, whatever. And you got to be doing X amount of money just as a sales guy yourself. So like, I was like, oh, okay. He's like, and you don't even have to be there, because like my girlfriend was selling like Cutco for a while, some like last year, and she, made a bit of money with that and whatever, but it's an MLM, and they kind of get a bad rep, and then also, do they really care about you? No, not really. Yeah, and with insurance, it's tricky. So that was one of the first things I was like, give me information, like I need max information on this, and then he kind of broke it down. I was like, okay, this isn't like the life insurance stuff that you see on LinkedIn all the time where people are like, yeah, make 10K a month, like real quick, whatever, quick money, fast money. And yeah, so it's not really that. I mean, the other thing too is like so many people get into life insurance, but they don't know how to sell. And it's like, if you don't know how to sell and you don't have any experience in sales, you're not gonna make any money.
Yeah.
So
I just feel like there's so much growth opportunity in the social media space just in general.
Oh yeah.
That like that if you could sell in that department and do what you did to us to like,
trust me.
Over.
I am.
That's where you should be leaning into, because I know for us, like as soon as we niched down like in business, we exploded. And when we were doing too many different things, you're trying out all these little different things, you're just spread too thin, and you can't like really focus on just like one thing.
I agree. Yep.
Yeah, Alex Ramosi talks about that a lot. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he talks about how like he had I don't know, 6 gyms, and he had this, and he had a agency that was doing this and whatever. And then he's like, I just decided to go all in on gyms. Like I just made like 10 times the amount of money. He's like, because I was just stretched thin between like 4 different businesses, and then when I just decided, okay, like this is the one that's gonna yield the greatest like return, and then I went in all in on it, and then that's what made me the most money. Yeah. I was like, yeah. So honestly, that's kind of what I've been thinking too. Is like, there's a certain like amount of 5 figures a month I want to get to before I just cruise down on the agency, but like. We'll see. I mean, the other thing with life insurance too, which is cool, is you get obviously like recurring commissions every year, like if it's an annual term. like you can continue to get commissions off that. And it's smaller than like the initial. It's usually like less than 5%. But like if you're closing enough people, like even if it's 5%, it's like, hey, like, you know, an extra $5,000 a year, $10,000 a year for doing nothing. You know, it's like, why not? So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I did all the I'll tell you, this is the one thing with life insurance, which I think too is why.
Well, you have to read. You just mentioned The One Thing. That's also a book. You got to read it.
What?
The One Thing.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah, never heard of it.
You got to read it.
I'm reading a book right now. It's called Limitless, and it's really good. But
what was the one thing that you were talking about?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. It slipped my mind. Oh, I know it was something William said to me at some point about how it was this. So obviously I know a ton of entrepreneurs because I'm running my agency, and half my clients are entrepreneurs and they owe themselves. And something I don't see a lot of until they get to until they are married or they have kids or whatever, like there are tons of young guys like that are 20, 21 and are making crazy sums of money and they don't have life insurance. And it's like, okay, you're 20 and you're making, X amount of money, 6 figures a month, whatever, and you're doing that profit. All right, well, what happens if tomorrow you get hit by a bus? Like, legitimately. And it's very easy to sell. Like, life insurance is, I've done quite extensive research on it. It's probably one of the easiest things to sell because you're just selling off fear, off the fact of like, well, it could happen.
Yeah, I think I only got it when, like, I got to a point in, like, where we had so many assets in business that we had to have a plan if I did die that my wife could be bought out of the, of my shares of the company and have continue to live the lifestyle that she's living. But before that, I didn't really see the value in it. Like, do you have life insurance? You probably should.
You should, though, because that's the thing, though, and that's why it's so easy to sell
to
some of these young guys, though, because it's like if you're 21, like a lot of these young guys, even myself included, it's like, okay, why are you making the money that you're making? It's for my family, right? I want to retire my parents. I want to live a certain life. A lot of it is because these young guys, they like their parents didn't live a certain they didn't live a great life, and they work paycheck to paycheck and whatever, and like a lot of these young guys, it's so easy to make money now that they're just doing it. But it's like, what happens if, you do get hit by a bus tomorrow? What happens to your parents? Well, they're not making that much money, but now they live a certain lifestyle that has to be sustained. So, it's very easy to sell in that regard, but people don't think about it.
How would Lupe pay for the $1 million house that you have and your daughter's like how would Paige pay for all of our stuff if I was not here?
That's true. I
mean,
might need to look into that.
A couple weeks I might know somebody to refer you to. But I think life insurance is important. I don't really see the value in it if you like are super young and don't have somebody that's like relying on you. I felt like more of it like now that somebody relies on my income to survive, and God forbid I died, like she wouldn't have any idea how to or what to do to buy out all the assets and all that stuff. So
you know what, though? If you wait until you're married and you have kids and you're making money, guess what? Your policy is going to be through, like you said, like the amount you pay towards life insurance is nuts. But like if you're 18, like if I decide to get life insurance right now, I don't, but I probably will because, with the amount of money I'm doing, I probably should have it. But like with that, it's like I can get a whole life policy and lock it in for a certain rate for the rest of my life, and then if I want to increase it, I can, and I can do it annually renewable term, and then I can just increase it every year if I wanted to, and it'll slowly get more expensive, but I could just lock it in for X amount of millions and get a certain rate now that if I decided to do it when I was your age and I had a wife and I had kids and whatever, it'd be 10 times as expensive because now I have people that rely on me and they know that, and they'll charge me for that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they also came out and they did like a blood test and like all that. They took health to make sure I wasn't like dying and had any like predisposed diseases or whatever. So it's something to look into. But I know that camera's about to run out, so we're gonna wrap this up and go to dinner. Nick, you have anything else?
Yeah, you got to tell some story, Nick.
On another episode I will. I just can't think anything off the top of my head right now.
We got our event tomorrow. This will be out after that though, so no reason to plug that. Eric, thanks for coming down, man. We're happy to have you for the event tomorrow. We have another check-in next week, another podcast, and we'll post some content from that, and hopefully we can get you some clients tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. How many people are going tomorrow? I know over 100.
We have 150, about 150 tickets sold, and
I saw that,
Facebook has another 100 people. Like, we should get 150 to 200 people through the door.
Yeah.
So
that's the biggest group. I mean, every year, every event, you guys just keep getting more, but I definitely think this time is the most, right?
Yeah, this is the most people that have like got
Registered,
a ticket, especially for a summer event, because usually the summer ones are a little slower. Yeah. People are away and stuff. But yeah, so we should have definitely well over 100 people.
It's that Facebook traction.
Shout out to Albers and Associates, Mid Atlantic Title, for hosting us at their office. It's a sick venue. Like it's gonna be a nice change up from the space that we've been in.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody there. Eric, thanks for coming on. Until next time.
Thanks, Eric.